She stood in the doorway, breath uneven, her skin pulsing with that strange violet glow again. It moved in waves, syncing almost perfectly with my own quickening heartbeat. For a moment, everything around her blurred, like the gravity between us had shifted. She wasn't saying anything, just looking at me like she was starving and I was the only thing left in this galaxy. I'd seen that glow before, but never like this. Never this intense. And in that moment, I realized, whatever she was becoming, she wasn't becoming it alone. I never thought I'd end up sharing an apartment with an alien. Especially not one like her. Tau Ceti Prime wasn't glamorous. It was a floating city on the edge of civilized space, home to cargo loaders, data miners, and runaways. I guess I fit in more than I cared to admit. I had signed up for a technician contract to escape Earth. War had a way of making poets out of cowards, and I wasn't ready to bleed for a cause I didn't believe in. But rent still existed, even at the edge of the galaxy. That's how I found her. Listings still up. "You looking or wasting my time?" she'd asked when I first buzzed her door. She stood barefoot on the cold metal floor, tall and regal, her silver hair tied in a low braid that coiled like a serpent. Her skin was pale but luminous, like starlight had kissed it too many times and never fully left. Two pupils, not one, like twin moons locked in orbit inside her eyes. "Eshaler," she said simply, offering no hand. No smile. "Ethan," I replied. I should have walked away. But the place was cheap, and I was desperate. The apartment had one shared kitchen, split ventilation, and 2 sound-dampened pods for sleep. It was functional. Cold. Quiet. Just like her. There were rules. No touching her belongings. No entering her quarters under any circumstance. And no noise after midnight. She didn't eat much. Her meals looked more like glowing moss than food. She never used the sofa. Never smiled. But she watched always. From across the room. When I made coffee. When I adjusted my translator chip. When I reread old messages from a brother I hadn't seen in 5 years. She noticed everything. And slowly, so did I. Her voice had a rhythm to it, measured, low, oddly musical. Her laugh, when it rarely emerged, sounded like water hitting crystal. She didn't speak unless spoken to, but when she did, it was with conviction. She wasn't cold, she was controlled. Calculated. In the second week, I offered her half of my rationed Earth chocolate bar. She refused. The next night, I found a delicate cup of her glowing drink waiting for me on the counter. Unspoken thank yous. Silent exchanges. "I've read about your kind," I said once. She looked up from the interface. "That's a dangerous way to start a conversation." I smiled. "Just saying, I read that your species are Cephirians. You communicate emotion differently." Her gaze didn't waver. "We don't hide it in lies." Fair enough. As days passed, the apartment softened. She adjusted the light temperature to match my circadian rhythm. I stopped playing music through my comms and started asking her what she preferred instead. She told me about the ocean on her planet, how it was made of liquid crystal and responded to touch like a lover's skin. "You miss it." She hesitated. I chose to leave it. "Why?" She said nothing. Some nights, I heard her humming. Low, melodic, hypnotic. I didn't recognize the tune. It stirred something in me I hadn't felt in years. Longing, maybe. Or loneliness dressed up as curiosity. But then, things began to shift. It started with the lights. Her skin lit up more often, faint at first, a soft violet shimmer on her collarbone or the tips of her fingers. Then it became brighter, longer, like fireflies dancing beneath her flesh. Sometimes it flickered when I was close to her. Once, it pulsed in rhythm with the music I was listening to before I'd even turned it on. Then came the scent. It was barely there. Floral, electric. Like ozone after a storm mixed with something intimate. I caught it when she passed me in the hallway. When she brushed my shoulder in the kitchen. My skin would tingle hours later. By the 3rd week, she became restless. She would pace at night. Doors would open and close. The walls, thick as they were, couldn't hide her breathing. Sometimes soft and erratic. Sometimes gasping. Once, I woke to the sound of my own name whispered in a voice not quite hers. It was deeper, wilder. I started locking my sleep pod. Not because I was afraid of her. Because I wasn't. One night, I came home early. The hallway was dark. Silent. Her room's door, usually sealed with biometric security, was slightly ajar. Faint mist spilled from the gap, glowing softly. "Eshaler?" I called. No answer. I should have left. I should have respected the rule. But I didn't. I stepped forward, just enough to peer inside. She was kneeling in the center of the room, head bowed, arms bare. Her glow was blinding, bathing the walls in shifting violet and blue. Her back moved with each shaky breath. There were marks on her skin, symbols, alive and writhing like they were being carved in real time. I stepped back before she saw me. Or maybe, she already had. Later that night, I found a message waiting on my comms panel. No voice. Just text. "Do not open that door again. For your sake. And mine." And beneath it, a symbol. One I had seen glowing on her spine. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. Because in my mind, I could still hear her whisper my name. For 3 days, we didn't speak. She avoided me not out of anger, but fear. I could see it in the way she moved. Gone was the silent grace she carried herself with. Her posture had shifted. Rigid, restrained, as if every breath was a negotiation with her own body. The glow on her skin no longer faded. It remained constant now, ebbing like a heartbeat, visible even beneath the loose fabric of her robe. There was a rhythm to it, timed with her every glance, every step, every time I said her name. I didn't open her door again. But I didn't need to. Her presence leaked through the walls. It started with the dreams. They weren't erotic at first, just intimate. I'd find myself standing beside her in a place that wasn't real. Under twin moons. Her hand in mine. Her voice in my head, speaking in a language I'd never heard but somehow understood. She never looked at me in those dreams. She just whispered my name like a question she was afraid to answer. But the longer I stayed in the apartment, the more real the dreams became. I could feel her breath on my cheek. The weight of her gaze. The scent of her skin, faint, electric, haunting. And when I woke, I'd find her in the hallway. Standing still. Watching me. Always from just far enough away to feel like a coincidence. Until the night she didn't look away. "You've seen too much," she said. I leaned against the wall, heart thudding. "You didn't exactly leave much to the imagination." Her eyes softened, but her jaw remained clenched. "This isn't a game, Ethan. What's happening to me? It isn't meant for your kind." I took a step closer. She didn't move. "Then tell me what it is. Help me understand." She studied me for a long, silent moment. The glow on her neck dimmed, as if conceding. "We go into heat every 12 cycles, she said, voice low. "But it's not what you think. It's not just physical. It's neurological. Hormonal. Genetic." I nodded. "Like mating season." She frowned. "No. Like transformation. It changes us. Our senses. Our chemistry. Our memories. We don't choose who we bond with during heat, not entirely. The body does. The instincts do. And once the bond begins, it can't be undone." I swallowed. "So, this bond, it's starting?" She turned away. "It already has." The silence that followed felt like a scream. "I've been feeling," I began, but she cut me off with a gesture. "I know. You're dreaming of me. You smell things that weren't there before. You wake with your heart racing." I didn't deny it. She finally faced me again, and I saw something I hadn't seen before. Desperation. "I've resisted it," she whispered. "I've kept my distance. Suppressed the signs. But you came too close that night. You saw too much. And now, my body has chosen." I took another step toward her. "What if I don't want to stop it?" Her glow pulsed violently, as if my words had triggered something deep within her. "You don't understand," she breathed. "This isn't romance, Ethan. This isn't seduction. This is instinct. Biology. Once the bond completes, you won't be entirely yourself. You'll change. I stared into her twin pupils, one dilated, one shrinking like a star collapsing into itself. Maybe I want to change. Her breath hitched. You don't know what you're asking. Then tell me. She looked like she might cry, but Eshala didn't cry. Instead, she moved. Fast. She closed the distance between us in a blink, her hand pressing gently to my chest. Her touch burned, not painfully, but with intensity. Her palm vibrated, and I realized, it was syncing with my heartbeat. This is the beginning, she said, eyes wide. Do you feel it? I nodded. And then, just like that, she pulled away. Stay out tonight, she said. Don't come back until the second moon rises. Eshala. Promise me. Her voice cracked. That did more damage than a scream ever could. I promise. I didn't sleep that night. I walked the outer promenade, alone, watching the stars flicker in the black silence beyond the shield dome. I tried to think of anything but her. But every step, every breath, reminded me of her presence. I could still feel her hand on my chest. Still smell the ghost of her breath on my lips. I returned the next morning hours after the second moon had risen. The apartment smelled like heat, lightning and rain. She wasn't there. Not in the common room. Not in the kitchen. Her door was open. I stepped inside, slowly. The room was transformed. The usual neat arrangement had unraveled. Her bed was stripped. Her robe lay crumpled on the floor. Symbols were burned into the walls, glowing faintly, humming softly. In the center of the room, she stood. Barefoot. Bare-skinned. Her body bathed in violet light. Hair unbraided, cascading down her back in glistening silver waves. She didn't turn around. You shouldn't have come back yet, she said. I couldn't stay away. She exhaled slowly. Her shoulders trembled. I'm losing control, Ethan. I stepped closer. Then let me help you. She turned. And for the first time since I met her, she looked afraid. But also, relieved. Like a war inside her had ended, and I was the only reason why. We stood in silence, staring at each other, breathing in the same rhythm. She stepped forward. I chose you, she whispered. My breath caught in my throat. Not because of instinct, she added, voice cracking. But because of you. The glow from her skin reached out like tendrils, wrapping softly around my hands, up my arms, across my chest. Not burning. Not binding. Welcoming. I don't know what will become, she said. But if I lose myself. I took her hand. Then I'll find you. The bond wasn't complete yet. But the choice. The choice had already been made. This part intensifies the romantic connection, explores deep emotional and physical bonding, and introduces major external tension to carry suspense into the final act. The moment her fingers laced with mine, something passed between us. Not energy. Not heat. Memory. I saw flashes, images that weren't mine. A shoreline of jagged crystals under two suns. A girl, not yet grown, swimming in liquid that shimmered like gold dust. A mother's touch. A teacher's warning. And then, me. I saw myself through her eyes. Not when we met. Before that. The first time she heard my voice echo down the corridor. The moment she decided to change her listing. The night she stood outside my room while I slept and whispered my name into the darkness, just to hear how it tasted in her mouth. When I gasped, she let go. I didn't mean to show you, she said softly, almost ashamed. But I shook my head. Don't stop. Eshala's glow dimmed a little, her face relaxing, lips parting with a breath that felt human. Or at least vulnerable. The lines between us blurred then, not just culturally, not just biologically, but spiritually. Soulfully. She wasn't just alien anymore. She was mine. And I was hers. The bonding wasn't instant, like some stories claim. It wasn't a kiss and a firework. It was slower. Stranger. Every time she touched me, something within me shifted. The translator chip in my brain began interpreting her silences. I could sense her moods before she moved. Her pain before she spoke. At night, we curled against each other. Not sexually. Not yet. It was more intimate than that. Her skin would flicker against mine, responding to my heartbeat. Sometimes, she'd hum ancient songs in a tongue the translator refused to touch. Other times, she'd simply listen to me breathe. But as the heat intensified, so did the consequences. The first incident came 3 days later. I was working a maintenance shaft when my body collapsed, heart racing, lungs constricting, vision flashing with ultraviolet light. I'd barely crawled back into the hallway before a med drone scanned me and called for security. They thought it was a seizure. I knew better. I felt her inside me. Not literally, but imprinted. As if something in her had taken root within me and was now reacting to distance. Eshaler found me in the recovery pod, standing like a shadow by the door. She didn't say anything. She didn't have to. I reached for her hand, and her light wrapped around my fingers like it missed them. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I should have warned you. The farther we get, the more your body will resist it." I gave a half-laugh. "You make it sound like addiction." Her eyes glinted. "It's worse than that." We spent the next day sealed inside the apartment, every window blacked out, every system overridden to privacy mode. She told me everything. Her kind evolved not for survival, but for bonding. Unlike humans, they didn't multiply aimlessly. They mated once. Chose once. And when they did, it wasn't just love. It was fusion. The heat was a trigger. A biological wildfire that rewrote the body. For the Cypherians, it burned quickly, intensely, and ended with a spiritual symbiosis. The chosen partner, regardless of species, began to change too. Their nervous system would reconfigure. Their emotional patterns would sync. Eventually, the glow would spread. Not just over her body, but mine. "You can still stop this," she told me, her voice taut with sincerity. "I don't want to." Her breath hitched. That night, the bond completed. Not with passion. With surrender. We lay together, clothed, connected by breath and heartbeat. Her forehead against mine. Her glow flooding into my chest. And in that quiet, I felt it. A warmth beneath my ribcage. A hum that wasn't my own. My body accepted her. But the world wouldn't. The next morning, they came. Government agents. Not human. Not Cypherian. Uniformed, neutral-faced, breathing through filtration masks that buzzed with diplomatic static. They didn't knock. They entered. She rose slowly, shielding me instinctively with one arm. "An authorized bond," one of them said. "You know the penalty." Eshaler didn't move. They showed no weapons. They didn't have to. One touch from their neural gloves would render either of us comatose. "You'll take him," she said calmly. "But leave me." "No," I said, stepping forward. "Ethan, please. I won't let them take you." She looked at me like I had just torn open a sun and handed her the light inside. "You've already changed," one of the agents said. "Look at your hands." I did. The veins beneath my skin shimmered faintly. Like star threads. Like hers. "You're connected," the agent said. "But not registered. That makes it a violation." "You want to break us up," I said. "Or erase us. It's protocol." But I saw it in their eyes, hesitation. Not fear. Not judgment. Jealousy. One of them had bonded once. And lost it. Before they could react, the apartment lights flickered. An override code flashed across the wall. Echo 9 interface engaged. Then, a voice. Synthetic. Genderless. "I have observed the fusion. It is real. And it is beautiful." The rogue AI. The one rumored to have loved and mourned its own creator. It had no body. But it watched everything. They do not deserve deletion. They deserve evolution. And then the windows shattered into light. We ran. Not away from the law. Toward the stars. We escaped into the maintenance tunnels. I carried the override code. She carried me when I fell. Together, we reached the freight module and launched before they could trace the trajectory. Out there, beyond the rings of Tau Ceti, the stars waited. And so did our choice. To keep running. Or to begin again, somewhere we weren't forbidden. Somewhere we could become what we were destined to be. Not human. Not alien. Something new. The stars blurred past us like streaks of memory, silent and infinite. We drifted through uncharted space in a stolen freight pod, the hum of the engines replaced by the louder, stranger hum inside my chest. It wasn't mechanical. It wasn't fear. It was her. Eshala sat opposite me in the dim cabin, knees drawn up to her chest, eyes closed. She hadn't spoken since we launched. Not with words. But I still heard her. Every beat of her pulse echoed through me. It had only been 2 days since we escaped Tau Ceti Prime, but I could already feel the changes accelerating. The glow in my veins had intensified. My dreams no longer felt like dreams, they felt like memories I hadn't lived yet. Visions of her planet. Her childhood. Her grief. I was becoming her. Or maybe, we were becoming each other. I touched my forearm where the skin shimmered faintly beneath the surface. A swirling pattern, just like the ones on her back, was beginning to emerge. It didn't hurt. But it ached. A deep, beautiful ache. She finally opened her eyes. We can't run forever. I know. They'll track your biosignature eventually. I disabled the transponder, I said. And the AI scrambled the trace data. We've got time. Time, she repeated softly. My people measure time by bond cycles. Seasons of connection. Not rotations of stars. I smiled. So how long do we have? She looked at me, not the way she used to, guarded and careful, but with quiet surrender. For the rest of this cycle, she said. And maybe the next. We found shelter on a moon orbiting a gas giant in a dead system. No colonies. No signals. Just silence, wind, and shelter. The habitat we built was simple. Solar generator, atmospheric seal, 2 rooms that we never used separately. We didn't need much. Just each other. And whatever we were becoming. The fusion wasn't finished. But it was close. We'd sit together for hours, skin to skin, letting the bond deepen. Sometimes we made love, not frantic or wild, but slow. Ritualistic. Not about desire. About completion. Every time we touched, the marks on our skin brightened, threading together like constellations finding their shape. And with each joining, I changed. I could hear what she didn't say. Feel what she tried to hide. I stopped needing the translator chip. I began to breathe in rhythm with her. She no longer glowed alone. We were one. But the galaxy doesn't leave things untouched for long. It found us again. The transmission came through a dust-flicked frequency narrowband, encrypted, but unmistakable. Ethan Ward, you are in violation of United Treaty Code 12.7. Immediate retrieval is authorized. Comply or face termination. Eshala didn't flinch. She just looked at me and asked the one question she never had before. Do you want to go back? I didn't answer. Because in my heart, I knew there was no back. Not anymore. They'll never stop, I said. They'll keep hunting us. You. This. I know. We can't keep hiding. No, she agreed, voice steady. But we can choose how it ends. I stood and walked to the viewport. Outside, a rogue comet burned across the moon's dark sky, brief, wild, perfect. I thought of Earth. My old apartment. My brother's unread messages. My human body that no longer belonged to me. Then I looked at her. And I knew. We don't hide, I said. We evolve. She rose and stepped toward me. And then she did something she'd never done before. She knelt. Not in submission. In reverence. Then we become what they fear most, she whispered. Hope. We activated the beacon. Not a distress signal. Not a surrender. A broadcast. We told our story raw, unedited, uncensored. We let them see the bond. The marks. The glow in both our bodies. The love that crossed galaxies and rewrote biology. And then, we waited. The first responses came from the shadows. Whispers from other bonded pairs who had hidden for years. A Cephirian who had loved a human medic on a war planet. A neural AI who mourned the woman it was forbidden to touch. A species from the Orpheus belt that claimed our fusion matched an ancient prophecy of star-bonded twins. We were not the only ones. We were just the first to speak. And that changed everything. When the ships arrived again, they did not come with weapons. They came with questions. With fear. With wonder. We stood hand in hand at the landing field, our glow now perfectly matched, our pulses one. And I told them. We didn't break a law. We broke a pattern. You fear what love can do, Eshaler added. Because you've forgotten what it's for. In the end, they didn't erase us. They couldn't. Because we had already become a new story. One that could not be undone. Now, our moon is no longer silent. Other couples have arrived. Bonded, broken, rebuilding. They come seeking understanding. Healing. Permission. We give them none. Because love doesn't ask permission. It just becomes. Eshaler sleeps beside me now, her skin cool against mine, her light still dancing behind closed eyes. I watch her for a while. I trace the glowing marks on my arm. They look like the stars. But they feel like her. In the cold void of space, I didn't find home in a planet. I found it in her touch. And I never stood a chance.